Some photographs capture a ship at its proudest moment. Fresh paint and guns trained to the horizon. But others capture something far more powerful. Moments when war stripped away ceremony and left only damage, courage, and survival. These are frozen seconds from real battles, each image hiding a larger story of command decisions, human endurance, and the brutal mathematics of naval warfare. This is famous Warship Damage Pictures Explained Part 2. HMS Kelly. When HMS Kelly entered service in 1939, she represented the modern Royal Navy at war. Fast, sleek, and heavily armed for her size, Kelly was built as a K-class destroyer, designed to screen fleets, hunt submarines, and strike with torpedoes. She displaced just over 1,700 tons standard, but ships like Kelly were expected to perform missions far beyond their size. She was commanded by one of the most recognizable naval officers of the era, Lord Louis Mountbatten. Energetic, ambitious, charismatic, and highly connected, Mountbatten inspired fierce loyalty from many who served under him. He was also controversial, admired by some and criticized by others, but few denied his personal courage. In May 1940, during the chaotic fighting around the Low Countries, Kelly was attacked by German E-boats in darkness. One torpedo struck and the damage photo tells the story instantly. Her hull was torn open. Her stern nearly severed. Compartments flooded rapidly. Machinery spaces were wrecked. A smaller ship might have sunk within minutes. But damage control parties sealed compartments, pumps were rigged, and the shattered destroyer was eventually towed to safety. It was a brutal reminder that even a fast modern warship could be crippled in seconds by a small attacker. Kelly survived that night, though she would later be lost off Crete in 1941. This famous image shows not defeat, but endurance. A destroyer broken, but not beaten. The Dunkirk. Launched in 1935, Dunkirk was among the most advanced battleships of her day. She had been designed to counter German pocket battleships, combining heavy guns, strong speed, and modern armor in a fast package. Her main battery of 8 330mm guns were concentrated forward in 2 quadruple turrets, giving her a distinctive silhouette. In 1940, she was under the command of Marcel Bruno Gensol as part of the French force at Mers el-Kheba, while Dunkirk herself was captained by experienced French officers caught in an impossible political crisis. France had fallen and Britain now feared the powerful French fleet might someday fall under Axis control. On the 3rd of July, 1940, the Royal Navy opened fire. Among the British ships was HMS Hood, whose 15-inch guns hurled shells weighing nearly a ton. Dunkirk was hit repeatedly. This damage photograph shows the aftermath, with twisted steel, shattered turret structures, and the wrecked patrol vessel Terre-Neuve nearby. Then came another disaster. Depth charges aboard Terre-Neuve later detonated, causing additional damage close alongside Dunkirk. What the image captures is more than battle damage. It captures one of the most painful naval episodes of the war, when former allies fired on each other in fear, mistrust, and urgency. Battleship Jean Bart. If Dunkirk represented French innovation before defeat, Jean Bart represented unfinished defiance. Launched in 1940 while incomplete, Jean Bart escaped Saint-Nazaire just ahead of advancing German forces. She sailed with only part of her armament installed, an unfinished giant fleeing capture. By 1942 she lay at Casablanca, and her commanding officers and crew worked with limited equipment, incomplete systems, and a ship never truly finished, yet morale remained stubbornly high. Jean Bart carried the spirit of a fleet that refused to disappear quietly. Then came Operation Torch in November 1942. American naval forces attacked Casablanca. Aircraft bombed the harbor. Battleships shelled shore positions and ships alike. Though incomplete, Jean Bart fired back using the turret she had operational. That alone made her remarkable. The damage photo shows heavy scars from bombs and shellfire, smoke-blackened plating, and a warship that looked half-built and half-destroyed. Yet she survived, and after the war, Bart would finally be completed, one of the last battleships ever finished in Europe. This image is of a wounded ship. The story is of persistence. USS New Orleans. Few naval photographs shock the eye like USS New Orleans entering harbor with her bow missing. Launched in 1933, New Orleans was the lead ship of an important class of American heavy cruisers. Fast, heavily armed with 8-inch guns, and designed for long Pacific operations, she became a frontline veteran early in the war. During the Battle of Tassafaronga on the 30th of November, 1942, American forces encountered Japanese destroyers armed with a deadly Type 93 Long Lance torpedo. One torpedo struck New Orleans forward. The explosion touched off her forward magazines. Everything ahead of turret number 2 was blown away. Hundreds of feet of structure vanished into darkness. Many believed she would sink. But Captain Clifford H. Roper and his surviving crew reacted with discipline and speed. Fires were contained. Counter-flooding stabilized the ship. Improvised repairs were made at sea. Then came the impossible sight. New Orleans steamed into Tulagi Harbor under her own power, jagged wreckage forward, crew still at stations. Later, a temporary bow made from coconut logs and salvage materials helped move her onward for repairs. The photograph is famous because it seems unreal. Yet it is one of the greatest examples of damage control in naval history. Then there was Yamato. Launched in 1940, she was the largest battleship ever built. Over 70,000 tons fully loaded. Armed with 9 18.1-inch guns, the biggest ever mounted on a warship. Protected by armor intended to resist battleship shells. She was commanded on her final mission by Kosaku Ariga, a determined officer chosen for what many already knew was a one-way voyage. In April 1945, during Operation Tengo, Yamato was sent toward Okinawa with insufficient fuel, minimal air cover, and little hope of return. American carrier aircraft found her at sea. Wave after wave attacked with bombs and torpedoes. Then came the final moment. Yamato rolled, and her magazines detonated in an explosion so vast it sent a mushrooming column of smoke thousands of feet into the sky. This photograph of that blast has become one of the defining images of Yamato's final moment. It was not merely the destruction of a ship. It was the end of the battleship age's greatest symbol. These photographs survive because cameras captured the damage. But history remembers them because men endured it. Ships can be launched in ceremony, and they become legendary only in crisis. And somewhere in archives around the world, more images still wait. Their steel silent, their stories unfinished. From the gun decks to the bridge, every story we tell honors those who served. If this tale made you feel the salt and steel of history, give it a like, and if you're not yet part of our channel's convoy, subscribe and join the ranks. More powerful stories await.